Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Pause the video right now to check out my social media, my radio show, and thatdrummerguy.com. And most of all, enjoy the following presentation.
How's it going, man?
Oh, hi, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to be able to do this interview.
No problem.
Well, awesome. Well, of course, we are here to talk about the brand new album from Anvil, Pounding the Pavement, which is coming out next Friday through Steamhammer. I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album over the last couple days, and it's awesome to see the position that you guys are in right now. I mean, I can just tell from this album from start to finish that you guys are in a great position and just loving the music that you guys are making, and it's great to be able to hear that from a fan perspective.
Yeah, everything's going amazing.
So, how did the writing process for this new album begin?
Pardon me?
How did the writing process begin for the new album?
Like it kind of usually does. I don't know how would you explain that? I come in with a few riffs, and then we start working through the arrangements and figure out if it needs parts and create parts as we go, and you make up a whole bunch of songs like that. You know, that's the process. It's an as it happens process. It's not something that you sit there and contemplate. You just kind of do it.
Yeah, and you know that's.
Those inspiration moments, not every time you pick up your guitar you come up with something, but you know, every other time, maybe sometimes a few times in a row, but you generally come up with something when you pick up your guitar and first start playing. It's a moment of inspiration, and you follow it through and create a piece of music from whatever you just accidentally played on purpose.
Yeah, and it's funny how that works out. I mean, when you are writing riffs, I mean, not every time that you pick up the guitar, like you said, that you're going to be able to have something that's going to work out, but when you do write those riffs out that you know are going to end up on a new album, I mean, that's always a great feeling.
Yeah, no, look, if the way that the filtering system is if I pick up my guitar at rehearsal and I start playing a riff, and if Rob joins in, then we got something.
Oh, that's a great approach.
Fundamentally speaking, that's pretty much the way it works, because if he doesn't like it, he doesn't pick up on it. You know what I mean? So the filtering system, I come up with lots of riffs, but if Rob likes the riff, does it go any further, is what I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. And with that...
So, you know, it's exactly like, you know, it's funny because we had the great honor and pleasure of meeting Ronnie Dio, and he was explaining what it was like to write Black Sabbath songs with Tony Iommi. He goes, I'd be standing there, and I go, and he'd be play 10 songs. He'd be playing the album for you in less than 10 minutes, and you're going, whoa, that riff, whoa, that riff.
Oh, that's just so cool. So.
Which I thought was so cool, man. It's like, yeah, I get that. So he said that at the end of the day, that what would happen is he'd pick his favorite things that Tony would play, and he'd make songs. They'd make songs of them. And so in a certain sense, that's sort of what happens with Rob and I. I play lots of stuff he doesn't really care about, but until I play something that he goes, oh, okay, I like that. We'll start playing along, and then we start creating. And you know, sometimes I've had to go back. I come up with something, play it for him, and he doesn't play along, and I'm going, okay, I'll come back to it. And I do, you know, and then we do. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's just mood, and sometimes it's just that he doesn't care for it. So you got to at least give everything a couple tries, especially when my heart tells me to go there. I keep trying.
And with that, I mean, with going everything over with Rob when it comes to riffs, say for instance this album, how much does the riffs change from when you're showing it to him to what the final product is?
Not a lot. That's the whole thing. Very little, especially main riffs and chorus riffs. Virtually no change. They're the thing it was built from. If anything changes, it might be the length of a verse, the length of a sub-chorus, maybe the way that the song ends, maybe the riff that and the guitar break, but generally speaking, the main riff from the onset remains the same.
You know, that's actually a really refreshing thing to hear, because I mean, I hear it so often with bands where it's like they come up with a riff and then by the time that it's actually on the record, it doesn't sound anything like the original idea that they had. But the fact that you guys, like, when you run something by Rob and you are able to come up with a riff that just sounds so good that you just go into the studio and reproduce that, and you just know from that point that that's a song that you want to make. That's a great approach.
Well, you get to if it weeds it through our own personal criticism and makes it past that, then it's probably worthy. Ultimately, because you don't want to play something over and over and over and over and over again if you hate it. Trust me.
Yeah.
And it's gotta be. I think the things we love the most are the things that are the most challenging, and that's usual as most musicians like. But having said that, there's a balance, because if you overdo it, like overplay and overwrite, you're going to wreck it. And that's what you're sort of saying, that you come up with a riff and you've added, because you get so used to it, you start adding other things to it, thinking that you're adding, and actually what you're in the long run, you're actually wrecking it. It's like you're making chocolate pudding and you put too much sugar in, you know what I mean? It wrecked it. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, again, like I said, a really great approach to it. I mean, and the fact that you guys have been writing and playing together so long, I mean, at this point, it's good to know that the feeling of knowing what riffs work together and what you guys want to play, I mean, it's down to such a great formula at this point.
Yeah, but working with Robbo's awesome. You know, it really, it's a football field I can run. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit. You can really do anything you want.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really...
Any kind of metal song that you ever dreamed of, and you can even venture into rhythm and blues. I mean, it's just like, holy smokes, man, there's not much the guy's not capable of. So you want to get to as many places as you can and utilize that not only the ability but to the creativity that can be used with such a vast knowledge of ability. You know, you want to create as much as possible, be as creative as possible with that kind of flexibility. And I mean, Anvil's very fortunate, and that's part of what I believe and what I believe in as its charm is the fact that it isn't all linear music. It's the fact that it's all different kinds of formats of what we call heavy metal music.
Yeah, and that's what I've always appreciated about the band. I mean, whether it's some of the faster songs, the more aggressive songs, the slower songs, I mean, there's something for everyone that enjoys heavy metal music when you put on an Anvil album.
Yeah, and everybody has a different opinion of that album depending on which songs they chose that they like. Yeah. There are people that have it's already happening all over the place. It's just common. The common everyday Anvil vibe is that, you know, you talk to one fan and they go, you know, this song is the worst song you guys have ever done, but this song is great. And then you talk to the next guy, and the song that the guy just said is the worst song we ever wrote is that guy's favorite, and the song that he cited is the worst song we ever wrote. So you get a complete opposite reaction for the same songs.
Yeah, it's so funny how that works out.
Because the genre itself of heavy metal has become so fragmented. But Anvil's not like the rest of heavy metal. We are metal. We are what it was originally made of. We're the stuff that ran synchronicity-wise with the growth of electric guitar from its birth to where it is. That's what Anvil is. It's the encapsulation of that. So it's still melodic. It still has things from the 50s. It has things from the 60s. Has things from the 70s. Has things from the 80s. It has things that are accessible in the sense that there are certain things that just never change no matter what. It's universal. It's the fundamental basics of the music, that the timelessness of certain aspect of metal that Anvil possesses. It transcends the eras, because on the same album that you're finding Rock That Shit, which is like a 50s song. You're finding Bitch in the Box, which is like an 80s song. It's unexplicable songs like Warming Up, which is jazz metal. What the fuck's that? That's our own genre. You know what I mean? So this is the thing: is try to create diversity and you use your influences from where you've lived and what you've experienced and put it in your music, and that's what I believe I do.
Yeah, and I can definitely hear that throughout this album. I mean, just like you were talking about there, I mean, there's like so much diversity that's going on with this album, and unexpected turns sometimes when it comes into that too, and it's a really cool experience to see how much of the diversity is really being shown off in this album. Like you said, I mean, there's like jazz metal that's getting shown off on there. There's like 50s rock that's being shown off on there, and of course that those Anvil staples that are being shown off in a new original form on this album. I mean, it's got a little bit of something for everybody, and that's what's so great about it.
Yeah, it can be very great about it, or it could be really detrimental. It depends on who you ask. That's the thing. It's like I was saying before. It depends on who you ask. So I think that each song is a great demonstration of the type of song it's supposed to be, and they're powerful. Each one possesses its own power and identity, and it's up to the listener to decide what's your favorites. Everybody has a different one. Trust me when I tell you. But interestingly enough, the one that seems to be consistent is the rock and roll. That's an interesting facet. It's an interesting aspect. No question about that. But having said that, rock and roll will never die.
Oh, so very true. And that's why I'm so happy to see that you guys are still going at it and keeping that rock and roll and heavy metal spirit alive. I mean, obviously adding new touches to it so you're not getting the exact same Anvil album twice, but it's just like keeping that core foundation of rock and roll and heavy metal and just the music that you want to make. I mean, it's so great to see that in 2018.
Well, somebody's got to do it. And I'm the last of the dodo birds, so I better keep doing it.
You were mentioning before, obviously everybody has like their own favorites and least favorites and everything that comes with that with any band, let alone Anvil. But when it comes to the new album, what are some of your personal favorites off the new album?
Personal favorites off the new album?
Yeah.
Probably World of Tomorrow. And we're not playing it live, but it's my favorite song. I don't know, maybe we will one day, but at this point, it's not added. The second favorite is I'm Just Doing What I Want, and we are doing that live. And we're doing, I like Bitch in the Box. I really think that it came out great. It wasn't necessarily my all-time favorite musically speaking, but I liked it, and I'm glad that we're playing it. It sounds really good in the live thing. And Ego. So, it's hard to pick favorites, Ask me in 5 years from now what's stuck, you know what I mean? It's what sticks. It's going to be my favorite ultimately, and I don't know yet.
Oh, that's a very fair point. And you did touch on this a little bit, like you mentioned that World of Tomorrow is currently not a part of the live set list. How did you decide what songs were going to be a part of the live set list when it comes to the new album?
Well, at first it's a guess, and right now I guessed the first 3 cuts. That's what I guessed.
Okay.
I mean, where it's going to go from here, I don't know. I just guessed those. I was not guessing Rock That Shit, but it looks like that might have to happen because it's actually the only the song that everybody seems to gravitate towards. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But the bottom line is, I do know why. It's because it's a rock and roll format in very traditional rock and roll format.
Yeah, it very much is of that style, and it's like I'm imagining hearing that live, not having heard the song live yet. I mean, I imagine when it starts being incorporated in there, I mean, it is going to give a very fun feel live.
Yeah, rock and roll, you can't, it's like, you can't lose. You do something like that, you're going, it's really, but you got to do it convincingly. That's the thing. It's one thing to have the concept, okay, I'm going to write a rock and roll song. It's another thing to write a good rock and roll song. And, if you understand what I'm saying, it seems simple, but not so simple.
That's so true.
There even has to be something special about the way that whatever you've done with the riff, you still can't get away with. It's still not, the basic dan. It's not that. That's the thing. So there's a metallic essence to what I've created there that keeps it still within the realms of my world.
And with that,
I made an old thing into something that's more relatable to my world. In the same way that the song Route 66. Song Route 66 was written by Robert Troup, Troup, I believe, and it was done in a very, very mid-tempo swing jazz feel. It was then done by Nat King Cole in an upper fast swing jazz feel, and then done by Chuck Berry in a much more rock and roll feel, and then once again by the Rolling Stones, done full balls out really of version of that song. And it's interesting. They're all the same, but they're all really different just because of the application and texture that was applied by each artist, by where they were and what was going on in their era. Because at the beginning, the first earlier ones, it was very, very jazzy. The guitar was not the standout instrument. In the next version, the guitar starts becoming a center focal point, and there was actually a guitar solo in the version of Nat King Cole's song. And then comes Chuck Berry, and of course there's a guitar solo. And then you get to Route 66 by the Rolling Stones, and it's one of the first lead guitar solos that I became aware of as a child. That's where I first heard it. I want to learn how to play that. What's that? That's when I really identified that really twangy single note, that rangy lead guitar. This is one of the first places I ever heard it. So that's the reason I'm talking about that particular instance of it. So when you do applications of things, you put your own identity and the things that you relate to when you create music. So I'm taking an old structure like a typical Chuck Berry guitar riff type of song and writing my style of riff that works inside the same musical framework, but yet I'm doing what I would do in that framework rather than what would traditionally go there. And I'm able to mix these different aspects of music because I was born into it.
Yeah, and
like I say, yeah. I was born into it. It's natural to do that for me. So I'm able to do that much the same way as Nat King Cole was born into what he could do. And when he went and did Route 66, he did what he did with it. And it was not the same as what Chuck Berry did to it. So it's what I'm saying. You can take even this, I'm just using the extreme of the single song, never mind the whole attitude and the way of writing and so forth. But it's how the influence of the time and the type of musician that I am, what it has on my influences and what it has on the songs I write. And like I said earlier, we're the last of the dodo birds. We're going to go extinct, and you don't bring back the dodo bird. And you know what I mean? You're never going to bring back Motorhead. You're never bringing back Dio. You're never bringing back Benny Goodman, Artie Shaw, Glenn Miller. You're not going to bring these people back. There's never going to be another person to write another Chattanooga Choo Choo. It came and went. Never going to happen again. You're never going to get a guy who can play his drums like Buddy Rich. That's a one-time deal. How many Michelangelos have there been? You know what I mean? Ask yourself that question.
Yeah, and there is positives and negatives when it comes to that. I mean, looking at it from the positive view, it's just like you do have all these great musicians and artists who were able to have their own spin on there, and the hope is always that future generations can look back on that, add their own spin to it, and continue on the tradition of creating great music.
You're correct, but unfortunately, just like the days of the Beatles, the Herman's Hermits, the Kinks and the Rolling Stones and all that, just as they are all passing away, we're never going to hear, no one's ever going to create music like that again. And that will eventually happen to the music that we're talking about too. Whether you want it to or not, that's what happens.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to appreciate it while you can.
It never gets replaced, it just gets remembered.
And that's why it's so important to appreciate it while you can.
It's the only thing that humans, that this fucking world makes, that doesn't wear out and doesn't break.
So, and speaking of that, I mean, obviously, like what you said, it's, it's important to remember those bands while those artists, while they're still here, and, when they do move on, obviously that's not going to be the same. You're never going to get that same style again, and that's why it's so important to be able to appreciate them, especially if they're in the same time period that you are while they're creating music. I mean, whether it inspires you or you just get to hear their take on it, it's important to be able to keep that tradition going.
Well, it is important, but have we as a human race, have we ruined things? What have we done? What happened to the music industry? What effect did the digital age have on art? It's having a massive effect. It could be very catastrophic. People are more busy looking at their cell phone than listening to any music anywhere. And music is something you generally don't need to pay much for. It's certainly not valued like it once was. It's not the form of entertainment that it once was. It's very, very short-term pacifies people very, very short-term now. Everything is like a passing breeze. You can't really make a living from the music by music and radio play. That you make all your money. But the musicians have to tour. It's the only way to make money. We've become vacuum cleaner salesmen. All of us. That's what's happened. And we go gig to gig, doing place to place, doing our demonstration, and then try to sell you our products, our T-shirts, our TV, our T-shirts, our CDs. You go in, you throw the dirt in the rug. Look what my machine can do. Mine is the best machine. If you buy from me, I'm the best guy to buy from because I'm giving you the deal. I came right to your door. I love you. You love me. Buy my product. There you go. That's how the musicians are making their living now, because there's no other way. Now the famous vacuum cleaners, if you want to meet that vacuum cleaner, you got to pay money to meet that vacuum cleaner guy. But he's still basically doing the same thing, doing his demonstration, because you might not buy his T-shirt this time. Did he sell me well enough? Because everything that venue, everything that fucking place paid for that artist to play there, it cost that artist to put the show on. So where is he making his money? The T-shirts, whatever he can hawk that night. That's what it's turned into. And if he's real famous, he can charge people to come and meet him. And that's how the industry has changed. No more can you write a song, it sell 1 million copies. Sell 1 million copies? Who's selling 1 million copies? When 25,000 sales in the United States is basically a gold or platinum album, who the hell is selling albums? So I mean, these are the realities of today. I'm not talking bullshit here. This is what's really going on. The only time my music is worth anything is before I make it. And ask my fans on a personal level, would you want to get involved? And if you get involved, I'm going to sell you a copy that you can't get from the record company. How's that? There's a deal. One hand washes the other. That's the kind of world that's turned into the music business. The big-time record deals, the big-time promotions, the big-time tours, they're not really happening. And if they are, they're barely happening. And that goes for even the pop rock world. It's pretty hard to be a stadium act. Really, really hard to be a stadium act. There's only a few.
Yeah, and again, just like obviously with the financial aspects of everything. I mean, it's almost impossible to be able to pull off everything that you want to and be able to keep that integrity. That's why it's so important that if you do continue to pursue something in music, I mean, you gotta have a love and passion for it. Otherwise, just like you said, there's so few bands and musicians that are able to sell albums and sell out tours and stuff like that. So you gotta have that love and passion for what you're doing.
You know, you gotta be willing to do it for nothing and realize that you may never ever get paid. You gotta go in with that attitude. I'm probably going to make nothing. Chances are I'm not going to make nothing. It doesn't mean I don't want to make anything. It means the chances are that I'm never going to make a dime. And not only that, it's going to cost me. But the question is, how much do I love what I do? What am I willing to do it? Just like everybody else with everything else that you love in your life. You know, people love to go on vacations to the Caribbean when it's winter time. It costs money, but you're willing to pay that money because it gives you joy and happiness to your life. Well, doing music, if it brings you joy and happiness to do in your life and it costs you money, so the fuck what, right?
Exactly.
That's the philosophy. That's the way to think about it. There is no other way to think about it, because that is reality. There is no big pot of gold, but chasing it is going to be the most fulfilling thing you can do as a human being, because it's in your heart and that's what you love. The journey is what it's all about. It's not about the goal.
And yeah, and with that, you know, just like you said, you know, it's about feeling happy about what you're doing, you know, having that love and passion for what you're doing. And when you are a musician and an artist like this, you know, going out there and being able to go out on tour, being able to put out some new music, knowing that you're making new fans, no matter how big or small that is, and, you know, just like know that you're doing all of this and it's bringing you personal joy. That's what matters so much.
Yes, that's what matters so much, is the fulfillment of finding happiness. That's what we're all here for.
And
that's really for all humanity. We're all trying to find happiness. It isn't easy. You find it in bits and bytes, but you don't find it like it's like a gold mine of it. Very few. And you know what? People think it's money. Survey says no, not money. The biggest wealth in life is fulfillment and having something to do every day. Having something to do and look forward to every day and be happy. If you can get those things, fuck man, on a constant, consistent basis, you're in heaven. That's utopia, isn't it? Permanent happiness? That's utopia. Good luck. I wish everybody luck in finding that, because that's what we're all looking for. And we're willing to pay for it, but are we willing to sacrifice for it? That's the question.
And it's always different for every person too. And again, that's what I appreciate about you guys still being able to continue strong like this, and the fact that you guys are willing to put out a new album, and, you know, obviously coming up and going out on tour to be able to promote this album and, you know, just spread the good message of what Anvil is all about. I mean, all the other aspects aside, when you get up on stage and you start playing in front of those people and you're just playing those songs with your friends and being able to just enjoy that time making music, I mean, with that personal fulfillment and joy that comes with that, is such a great feeling.
That's right, and that's why you're doing it. That's the main motivation. It's the humanity aspect, making the sound on the stage that makes everybody in the room have a fucking good time with you. That is utopia. That is that's where heaven is for me. And you never get enough. If that's what you really are and that's what you do, you never get enough. And those who complain about it are fucking assholes. Sorry. I have no patience for that shit. How do you complain about people loving you? How the fuck do you do that? Sorry, just no.
And, you know, I just gotta say it again. I mean, that's why it's so great to see you guys doing what you're doing. I mean, you know, just like from every aspect that comes with that comes with the positivity and the joy and the fulfillment. I mean, that's why I imagine like every Anvil show, I mean, especially with everything that you guys have gone through, I mean, every single Anvil show, I mean, it's just gotta feel like a great fun time, you know, being able to hear those classic songs, hearing the new songs, and just knowing that you're on stage playing with your friends and making everyone happy that's in front of you, and just trying to have a great night that goes along with that. I mean, it's obviously you can ask for more of that, especially when that happened more in the music industry, but when you're able to get that happiness and satisfaction from it, it's worth it.
That's right, correct.
Well, awesome. I think once again, thank you very much for taking the time to be able to do this interview and talk about everything that's been going on in the world of Anvil, and of course, talking about the brand new album Pavement, which is coming out next Friday. Having the chance to be able to check out the album, it was awesome to see where you guys are at this point, and it's making me excited to see like all the touring and everything that's going to be happening with you guys, and you know, just like getting this great insight from you as well. I mean, there's a lot of hardships that comes with being a musician, but there is also those positive aspects that makes all the struggles worth it, and it was great to be able to get those insights from you and being able to talk to you about everything that's going on in Anvil.
Okay, very, very cool, man. Thanks for the chance.